Julian Assange became famous in 2010 when he published the video Collateral Murder, in which US soldiers are seen killing innocent civilians and journalists in Iraq. His case is a battle to hold governments to account for the crimes they have committed behind our backs. This campaign has brought together people from all kinds of backgrounds. This is a film about some of them and their fight to protect democracy and the freedom of the press.
I come from Greece. My family is political. Both my parents were involved in politics, so I had that education in Greece. But when I emigrated in the UK, I lost that contact with politics.
My father was always a member of the Communist Party of Ecuador, and he was in his youth a union leader. So for me, it was like my male reference.
I'm really interested in how academia relates to the real world. In addition to this, I'm a mum, I'm a disabled woman trade unionist.
Well, I guess I was inspired in a way by my parents. My mum and dad are of the Second World War generation, and they were determined not to go back to the 1930s of the indignity of the means test and poor quality housing, and fearful about falling ill because they couldn't afford the medical treatment. By the time I was a young man in the mid-1970s, I kind of felt an urge to try and make a difference, I suppose, and I was very active and interested in animal rights as well as wider general politics.
In 2010, when Wikileaks started publicising and publishing the Chelsea Manning revelations, collateral murder video, that was the political avalanche that entered my life and reawoke my desire to be involved in what's happening in the world.
In 2012, I helped to give Assange political asylum when I was the consul of the Ecuadorian embassy in the United Kingdom.
Yes, I've been aware of WikiLeaks for over a decade now, but I never took it quite so seriously until Julian was dragged out of the embassy. For me, it was quite an education, I think, being involved in the case. I realised the story didn't add up, but on the other hand, I didn't really understand how much had been manipulated in terms of the story. And it took me a while to figure out, and I think that comes from conditioning, from being, in a way, being an academic and trying to be very impartial. And it makes you think that both sides of the stories have equal merit. And that is a bad aspect of my training, because you listen very seriously to the side that is lying, and giving it equal weightage and propaganda equal weightage to the truth doesn't actually get you at the truth.
Julian Assange has been portrayed by the press as a rapist, but perhaps Chris and Fidel can explain what is really going on.
Free speech is under immense threat at the moment, and there are huge efforts being made to clamp down on free speech. We see the treatment of Julian Assange, who should be hailed as an international hero, and indeed he is in many people's eyes, for bringing war crimes to the attention of the wider general public, for exposing the abuse of corporate power. But he's incarcerated in Belmarsh and facing a potential life sentence, 175-year sentence in the United States if he's extradited. And, it demonstrates to me, I think, the lengths to which the establishment will go to prevent free speech and to limit the ability to find out what people who are supposed to be serving the public are actually doing in reality. And that's a salutary lesson, it seems to me. And what is also very interesting is, I think, is exposed the abject failure of the corporate media in this country, which again is really only interested in preserving the status quo. It doesn't really hold power to account at all.
I think Julian Assange case is the best example of what we call lawfare. Basically using the judicial system in order to destroy somebody. But in order to destroy that person, you need to first destroy his image. You need to first kill the character, as we say. And you do it through media. And this is the best example.
Whatever you think about Julian Assange, the truth is his actions have opened our eyes on how governments behave. This campaign has also had a profound effect on the activists involved in it.
The campaign has completely changed my life. My association with Julian, with Wikileaks, and with Edward Snowden comes with a price. Because particularly in the UK, I don't think I am very employable.
What have you learned as an activist?
Firstly, I think it has made me realize how much more of a citizen I want to be, how much more I want to participate in democratic debate, and how much more I want transparency, how much more I want those in power to be held to account. I think it's also made me realize that there is a certain compassion that I have that I didn't know I had, and some power and some agency. I think it's also taught me that it's very emotionally draining. Once you've seen these things, it's difficult to unsee them and live a normal life. It changes you.
It's incredibly rewarding, I think, to be able to, as it were, make a difference, or feel that you're contributing to making a difference. You can only really make the changes that are required if you can bring people with you. That it's about really inspiring people, I think, and encouraging people. And one of the things that I was always passionate about as a member of the Labour Party and just a general political activist is that it's really important to take people with you and to, as it were, do politics with people, not to people. And I think, I suppose what I've learned, particularly in more recent years, is that our so-called representative democracy isn't really fit for purpose, because the representatives, I don't think, are representing the people that elect them. They tend to serve the interests of corporate capitalism.
What does the Assange campaign tell you about the world?
Well, you learn many things. You learn how much hypocrisy you have from those who have the full mouth defending democracy, defending human rights. I'm talking about governments. I'm talking about human rights organizations, actually, freedom of expression organizations.
As someone who respects the law, myself, it was an eye-opener and only by watching and following something in minute detail, you realize that reality is very different from what you think. You expect a country like in the UK, the rule of law is everything. Yet, when politics, high politics, take an interest in an individual and in an organization, all the due process goes out of the window.
When you support this kind of causes, you are not really thinking what I'm going to achieve at a personal level. What you need to be clear is that what you're going to achieve is peace in your mind, peace in your heart, that you will be able to look back and say, oh, yeah, that has a price in my life, but it was the right thing to do. So you will have the opportunity to say, think what you can achieve for this society, for this world. We all benefit from it at the end.